Hey gang, Raven the Devil here again. And, well, it's been another week and I'm going to try to get caught up here. And for those of you joining me for the first time or returning, thank you folks for coming and checking out one of my videos. Former radio host and now old guy on the internet. So, Raven the Devil, the grumpy old man, Raven Dave, or whatever the hell you want to call me, just don't call me late for dinner, even though I've lost over 300 pounds in the last 3 years. We'll be talking about that here over the next few videos, I guess, or the next several videos, depending on how much you guys like what I'm doing. And so, what did I want to talk about today? So, do the thing, the buttons. Push them if you want, if you like what I'm doing. If you don't, thanks for stopping by anyways. But, so I'm going to touch on a new subject. And, the last couple of videos I talked about, my past a little bit, some of the bad experiences I've had. You've met a couple of the animals that are circling around me like sharks. And, another angle in the room. And as I build this studio around me, I think about my past in radio and how I got started. And one of the things when I started on Hard Rock Radio Live, right away I learned the software and was thrown on the air to the wolves. I mean, Wrathchild taught me day one. He's like, all right, you got to come up with a show name. What are you going to call yourself? And so that's where I started using DJ Raven the Devil. And I learned Sam, which is Spatial Audio Manager, not my other dog. I will refer to both on occasion, depending on which one's in front of me. And, I was working with a couple of the other DJs whose names escape me other than Rock Bitch. And Rock Bitch sticks out. Not only was she a friend, she was an interesting individual, very kind, but she was one of the first folks that I knew since my accident that passed in the radio and music industry. And it hit all of us hard that knew her because she was a good friend. I was actually getting ready to go and visit her. I was going through hard times. She was listening and she was there for me. Radio saved my life. So I think that's why I want to today, right now anyways, talk about passion. And sort of expectations, if you will, about passion. We all have different forms of passion, I seem to think, and trust me, folks, I'm not telling anybody how to live your life here. I'm Gen X, The people above us we can't trust, and the people underneath us, well, y'all don't trust the same folks we don't. And so this is just life experience that I'm passing on because, well, if you're here, you're listening to what I got to say. And, one of the things I used to train DJs in was, why we do this. And a couple of things that I think to this day, even in the YouTube and all the other video sites, back when I was doing this, when I was doing the Vault, I was doing it 5 days a week syndicated, occasionally had a sponsor, made some money here and there. Most of the stuff I did on the side was how I kept the bills paid to do the show. And, because nobody believed in internet radio back then. And when I was just on Hard Rock Radio Live, I could see when I would talk to these labels. Now, before I ever got into this, between working with bands, I did all sorts of god-awful jobs. From telemarketing to screen printing, kitchen work, bartending. There's a degree behind me you could probably see on camera right now. That's my bartending degree. Yeah, back in the 90s, the DJ thought, well, it'd be fun to be a bartender, and, well, I'll go and get the permit for it, since I don't have any degrees at all ever, because I exfiltrated from school before graduation. That's the only diploma I have, and it's in bartending. So it's on the wall. But I used to tell folks, just because people think we're amateurs and they think we're fanboys in our basements, it doesn't mean it's not a business. The music business, it's called the music business for a reason. People want to make money. I was on the side of anti-downloading, illegal downloads. I still am. I believe in artist rights. I believe people should get paid for their work. It's one of the reasons why I left. But passion, You know, passion speaks louder than words sometimes. And when you think about it, really, uh, that's why I eventually gave up on radio. And there have been a lot of wonderful people I've worked with over the years, including a guy like Dave Tedder, who gave me my first shot at writing music reviews for an online magazine. And some folks recently have messaged me and talked to me in my day-to-day and said, do more music reviews. We enjoyed it. So I guess I'm gonna. Maybe. Because that's what this story's about. Why I don't do music anymore. And there's nothing bad against anybody in the industry. I know, hell, most of the people that I have fond memories of are musicians, music related, and in general tied to what I did in the radio. So this isn't that. I mean, even the Davy Jones video, which you can see here on this page, of when I was on the Real Radio Show, those were amazing times. No matter what the hardships were, they were great times. It's just afraid I wasn't sober enough to enjoy them. And yeah, like that Frankie one. The night before we shot that video, I pulled into New Jersey. We went and did our thing. I get back to the room. We had all these plans, ordered food, and passed out before the food even got to the door. So I was always working. I was 17, 18 hours a day most days. I don't sleep. I sleep 4 or 5 hours a night at best. So I have lots of free time to do different things. That's why I read a lot. That's why I spend a lot of time gaming, because, well, what else are you going to do, right? And I would train DJs. And I didn't like it at first, let me tell you. I was like, well, why do you want me to train people? I'm just a hack. I've always thought I was a hack. So hurry their insults my way. I don't mind. It doesn't bother me one bit if you come at me with you don't like me. That's fine. I'm used to it. However, I would talk about professionalism in the sense that it is a business, and when you talk to a band or you talk to a record label, don't be surprised if before you interview them, they're listening. So always be sure your best show is on the air the day you're on the air. And then I would talk about passion. Passion's a funny thing. You know, we get excited for things all the time, but can you hold your interest in something for a long time? What holds your interest? You know, what holds mine? My interest is about as held as long as squirrel. You know, that's me, squirrel. Shiny things distract me. That's why I said I'm a DJ. I'm a talking head. Shiny things distract me. And that's why working in radio was easy. I could look at a screen, there was a blank wall in front of me, and I had nothing to distract me, and I could focus on the guest and the radio show. But you had to have passion because the audience can tell. You know? Think about it. You ever gone to a concert where you're watching the show and you can tell the guy's just dialing it in? All right, Charles, how are you? Or Duncan, they just look like they want to be up there for the paycheck and they got rent to pay. I hate those concerts, by the way. If you've ever gone to see a live show and the band is just dialing it in for the dollars, they don't want to be there. They just need to pay their bills or their divorce lawyer. You know, that's not a good show. And you don't want to be there, and you get mad at the band and you lose your fandom, right? A lot of people lose their fandom over dumb stuff sometimes. And fandom's important too. You got to be a fan of what you're doing. And passion, though, and I would tell everybody, look, as long as you want to be on that mic, do it. The audience will love it, even if you have a bad day. And that's where that story I told recently of holding onto a bong, singing off key in a hot mic. And you embrace your funny moments. You embrace your bad moments. You take them all with stride, because you know what? You got to turn the mic on again. The mic's got to turn back on. And when I did a 6-hour show, I had an average of 72 songs. 30 breaks. If I didn't have guests. If I had guests, I'd have 2 or 3 guests sometimes in a 6-hour show. Each interview was an hour long, and that was an easy day whenever I have an interview. Then I only had to program 40 songs. But I still had to start the day 6 hours early. And passion drove me to get up at 5 in the morning. Passion sat me down at that desk to look at my 150,000 song list and go, these 72 today, and make sure they all played right. You also had to make sure there was no problems on the air. And the Vault of Metal was prone to technical difficulties. I blew up 4 computers in my first 2 years. And mics, soundboards, you name it, stuff died all the time. Lost hard drives left and right. Thank the gods of solid state. And then the syndication happened. After I left Hard Rock Radio Live in a fit of anger and drunken rage, I quit. Completely quit. Passion done, if you will. And I got a phone call from Metal Chick. She, to this day, I will always call her not only my co-host and my ex, but my #1 fan. The only one. The only fan. Because no one else has ever called me crying, begging me not to stop. And there had been another guy on Hard Rock Radio Live that had left, and he started Metal Massacre Radio. And he begged me to start the vault there, to base it there. And it took me 2 weeks. Every day, Metal Chick was on me. Get back to work. You know you want to do it. And I was missing it, but I'm mad. Fuck that, you know. F that. Whoops, I think I beat the Facebook censor reading. But, yeah, you know, I thought I'd lost the passion, and it came back quick. And then Metal Massacre hooked me up with Jen Steele and Susan Mitchell. And they became my managers, and they trained me to do things the right way. Though I couldn't get into my head the one thing at the time they wanted me to learn, and that was get sober. Couldn't get sober yet. My brain and my life wasn't ready for getting sober. It just wasn't. It was not something I was built for at that time. And, sorry, a lot of pain, folks. So if you see me shifting around, living with chronic pain right now, I feel like somebody hit me with a sledgehammer. And I got back into it. And I fell in love with radio, learning from Jen Steele, learning how to do voices, how to do reads, how to do the news, how to properly format a show, how to properly interview a guest. And then they syndicated me through Canadian broadcast and through terrestrial radio doing the classic rock show I used to do called the Friday Night Party Machine in Arizona. And that was all by the end of 2005. And I was on a self-destruct path at that time, but I was passionate about the vault. By 2006, Full Spectrum was falling apart. 2007 and 2008 were my best years. By 2008, I was, if you want to talk passion, I was on fire at that point. I was picking up stations left and right. Had a few bad experiences, which we'll talk about at some point. And including a station owner that got killed. And not to laugh at that, but yeah, I've had some crazy stories just doing the vault. And in syndication, you know, we reached at one point 27 stations that carried the show. From West Florida Metal Radio all the way to Pure Rock Radio and all these other great stations. KCHRN, K94, Metal Massacre, Hard Rock Radio Live. I can't remember them all. You know, there's so many of them. And I had to spew them out at the end of the show in under 43 seconds because music is like beer is only 43 seconds long. And then I hit the real radio show, and my passions changed, but I still was DJ Raven the Devil, and still doing the Vault of Metal. And I went to Vegas in 2008, and I was originally contacted to MC the Rock and Jock Festival, which was a paintball and concert, you know, battle of the bands for a contract. And so I was going to fly out and MC it, and then I was asked to step down and officially broadcast the only radio broadcast from it because a terrestrial radio show in New York City wanted to MC it, and they had a higher caliber co-host, and that was AJ Perot at Twisted Sister. And I said, of course, Twisted Sister, I'll back down for AJ as long as, you know, I still get everything else. And he's like, yeah, as a matter of fact, we could probably broker you a spot on this radio show. terrestrial big time? Sure, send me there. So I did, and I ended up, AJ left the show, and I got AJ's spot. And I did the Real Radio Show for 2.5 more years. And then everything happened. Financially, I lost everything. I was fired from the Real Radio Show. I was working with the Music Hotwire. That went south. Was ordered a cease and desist on the show over a contractual dispute. And my spirit broke. But more than that, I was homeless. I lost my home, lost my kid. Sent her off to live with my family and then off to her mother eventually. And was homeless after that. Was still passionate, still talking about it. I was this. I'm going to get back in North Carolina, Massachusetts, Wyoming, back east to Virginia, then back to Wyoming, then up to Oregon, then to North Carolina eventually, then Wichita, then Tulsa, not Tulsa, Taos, New Mexico, and then here to Pittsburgh. And was passionate for most of that time, most. By the end of 2016, when I brought the vault back, though, 2015 and 16, when I was couch crashing all over the country, a lot of stuff went down, but mayhem happened. Mayhem broke my spirit. Went to Boston for the Mayhem Festival, had all this press pass work for access to everybody from Slayer to King Diamond all the way down to B Stage. I arrive on site in Boston. I spent the rest of my money to rent a car to do this. I also did the Real Radio Show video you see, and which led to also helping Veronica Freeman get that video shot for Now and Forever or whatever. Now and Again. I don't remember now the name of the song anymore. It's been a long time. That was shot at Rob Burmeister from the Food Network's house. He did Chewing the Fat with Big and Beefy, a show I helped produce on occasion with Clemenza Caserta Jr. from Hell's Kitchen. Sorry about the stammer. But after 2016, the passion was dead. And people kept asking me to come back. And I had a lot of contacts through my LinkedIn. A lot of people that wanted me to do a podcast. A lot of people that wanted me to do a radio show. But I realized then I was done. I was chasing my tail for something I wasn't. And that's what some of those early review videos and even a conversation with were. I can bring back those kind of ideas and do interviews and things like that. I'm going to be doing a talk show eventually and talk about more than just music. But maybe I can get my music friends to come on in and talk about other things other than music, and we can just make a fun show. I'm more interested in conversations now than music review, but we'll see. Because I realized around 2018, I couldn't stand the sound of music at all anymore. Period. I mean, I lived for music my whole life. And then the passion died. It was gone, completely gone. I don't listen to music in the car. Sometimes I do, but not much. I turn off all music in video games. I barely listen to the music I love, metal. If I do listen to music, it's usually bluegrass, jazz, country, rap even, other stuff. Something that I don't normally hear, so it's not nails on a chalkboard. And it's because of all the reviews I had to do and all the bands that used to submit music, and I had to make a cut. Every day I had to go, you're not worth it. You're not worth it. You're not worth it. You're not good enough. You didn't make the cut. There was even a rep on my show, Ask Christian Insanity. I know you're out there watching some of these, bro. You had to make the cut. You had to be a certain way. If the audio wasn't right, the sound wasn't right, the recording wasn't right, your songs were garbage, your instrumentation was bad, I wouldn't let you on the show. You had to be at least on caliber with the mainstream bands I was putting on. I had a high bar. But there's a couple things about metal, and it goes the same with games. It seems to go the same with games. Sorry, I'm not going to jump cut the hell out of myself, so I'm just going to keep doing these live. Elitism. Metal purists, elitists would get mad at me. Because I played everything from the 70s to now. That was my thing. If it had metal in its name, whether it was 70s classic rock metal or new metal with bands like Korn, I was going to play it, even if I didn't like it. That wasn't the point. The music wasn't for me. It wasn't my collection I was playing. I was playing my audience's wants. What you requested one day, if I didn't have it, I went out and would get an entire collection because of it. And then the requests and the music and the submissions, and I still get them all the time, and I don't look at them. And it's not that I don't want to, it's just this is sent as a professional courtesy for review, not collection. So I do not open what I wish not to review. But I'm going to do more. I've been told they're fun. Because I missed this, being on a mic. Being in front of a camera is new, and I'm still getting used to it. Bear with me. Radio, I got a face for radio. Body built for one, too. I can sit for hours, but if you ask me to stand, I'm screwed. But, yeah, passion. I missed whatever this is. I missed being a performer, if you will, an entertainer. I wouldn't necessarily say performer or entertaining for that matter. That's a relative sort of thing. But I missed it, whatever it is. My passions are different now. I like making people happy. I want to see what we're missing in this world. I want to see more what we used to have, community, talking to one another. People out there have amazing stories. I've had so many people lately come through my shop where I hang out in my day-to-day. And great stories, exciting stories, thrilling. A girl that wants to be an astronaut. Another girl came through this week with another amazing story. Artists of all kinds, from handmade jewelry to paintings to photography, semi-professional athletes. Had a PBR bull rider. Had the German stand-up comic Olli Bröker. Check him out, by the way. Metal Dave is on his page from last year. I'll try to put links in once I post this. And also, go check out another guy who's from my radio days on Hard Rock Radio Live, formerly known as DJ Painkiller, Orpheus Spiliotopoulos. I hope I said that right, brother. From Athens, Greece. DJ, among other things. Even former host of Greece's MTV's Headbangers Ball. All from Hard Rock Radio Live and his time with Nuclear Blast Records. But still, he's got a little video channel going on now. He's got a couple of films he's put up, little mini films he's done with his phone. So you know what? Like I always say, with all the crap I've been through, if I can get to this point and I'm still kicking, what's stopping you? That's what passion's about. Money is all about how much time is worth to you, and that's how I've always lived my life. You can't put a price tag on my time. That's why sometimes these things might be a little bit late, and that's why today I'm going to bust my butt to make a few more of these. But if you like what I do, like, share, and subscribe. And remember, your passions are what drive you. And when you get tired of them, if what you're doing, you're no longer waking up on fire for, walk away. Because it's disingenuous from that moment forward. And do you really, with only this one ride and one chance at anything, want this to be your regret? Because I heard once a long time ago this saying, and I love this saying. Think about where you're at right now and imagine yourself 50 years from now, at the end of your life. Think long and hard, in your 70s, 80s, 90s, wherever you're at. Hundreds, if you're like me. Optimism. And if you had today all over again, what would you do? Be passionate about today, because tomorrow's never promised, right? So you only got today, and I got this. Thanks for watching. I'll be back in just a little while.